What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part 5 of my Total War Warhammer 3 modded Khatep Immortal Empires campaign. So as we saw last time, we acquired the Sword of Cain on Khatep, possibly the physically weakest, or at the very least one of the physically weakest lords in the game. Was it necessary? No, but also very much yes. Plus I find it hilarious that such a physically weak lord would have the Sword of Cain. Almost reminds me of the Warp Sword of Cain and Uriel in Malice's brother. His physical deformities preventing him from, well, being accepted, I would say, by some, and to be found weaker, but then being completely empowered by the Warp Sword. But anyway, also the regular Sword of Cain. Look at that, this sort of vortex maelstrom of souls and bones around Khatep. It actually looks pretty appropriate with him holding the sword. Anyway, in terms of what we've got to do this time, well, we're going to proceed to the Shrine of Cain. We have the sword, we might as well take the shrine and then possibly trade it back to the elves before essentially clearing up the problems on the donut. As long as we can maintain an alliance with the various elves, the donut will be good to us, as they'll provide trade agreements for us and essentially guard the seas for us as well, because we don't really want to spend too much more time around here other than, you know, grabbing the books and dealing with what we got to deal with. And we certainly don't want Nakari and the rest of the Chaos factions or the Slaaneshi factions to take over the entire donut like they did in the Kislev campaign. First time I've seen that, but the entire donut there was taken by the Slaaneshi, which was pretty interesting. Anyway, in terms of what we gotta do this turn, there isn't much in terms of moves, but there's probably a couple of things that we should do. First of all, I think we're gonna swap the Third Dynasty thing out to spend some money on the apprenticeship of Pehenna to get another Necrotect. We want to get as much Necrotect capacity as possible. The other capacities don't really matter as much, but because the Necrotects increase your capacities for various units without having to build the structures, they're really, really useful early on, and Khatep can level them pretty darn quick. After all, he's had this Necrotect for, what, 2 turns? And he's already at level 6, approaching level 10, and that capacity stuff. So yes, we'll make some good use of that, I think. Next, you know what, let's get some names in here. We've been waiting a little bit, and I think it's appropriate. Plus, we did reach the engagement threshold and the engagement streak as well all the way to this episode. So for those that missed it, this is the second bonus episode on today, double episode Wednesday. So if you missed the first one, do note that I posted 2 today as well. And if we continue the streak all the way through to Saturday, we can do a double episode on Saturday as well. Now, the streak will remain at 400, wait, actually for this episode it'll be 500 likes and 70 comments, and then after this episode it'll lower down to 460. So keep that in mind if you're into that sort of thing, and let's get going. Sons of Horus for our first Tomb Guard here. Next will be the Iron Sand Striders. Khatep Guard. And Nubstep Guardians. Good job, Ruinous. Good job. You can spell. Alrighty. You, Necrotect, we can name you Amenhotep the Insane. Just gotta get a few of these guys in here. One of the Lich Priest, you can be Darude Sandstorm. And it actually fit. Go figure. And do we need any more right now? I don't want to spend the entire. You know what? Let's name the caskets. Why not? You can be. Oh, there's no way this is gonna fit. Disciple of Jars. Al-Khari, 1 letter short, unfortunately. Alright, we can just do Disciples of Al-Khari then. There you go. Or Disciple. And then the second casket, you can be the Coffin Dead. Lovely. All right, that looks good to me, and that's the names. We've done the buildings, we've done the switcheroo with the necrotech and the techs, and we're still building stuff up. I do believe we're ready to go to next turn. So, skip, building upgrades, skip, outpost available. No, still skip, we need the money, We're about to build a bunch of stuff, end turn. And let's see what the elves do. Hopefully they don't attack us. We just need a little bit more time of them being friendly with us, and the likelihood of them attacking should drop, even as the, you know, anger from holding the Sword of Cain rises. That's what we've got to make good use of, all of these territories that we're taken for, to trade them to the elves and keep them happy. Peace treaty. I mean, it's not like we couldn't destroy them, it's just that I don't really see any need to hold a donut. We've got to return to Nehek, and we've got to possibly send some armies to Cathay as well, because they've got a lot of that green savannah. Peace treaty and payments? No. We're taking the shrine. We have the sword, we deserve a shrine. Plus, there's a, well, one of the reasons we went up here is because Jean de Bain holds one of the books. I don't remember which one, but I guess it doesn't overly matter much. Monument to Geheb gives us 10 armor for infantry. Yeah, we need that. Unfortunately, Tomb Guard without buffs have very low armor at only 60. You can get them up to around 80 to 90 to 100, depending on which buffs and stuff you have, but we're nowhere near that at the current time. Let us give this a read, however. A new monument will show the gods that their veneration is still our foremost concern. They, in turn, will strengthen our hands in this time of endless war. But to whom among our pantheon should it be dedicated? Obviously to Geheb, because Khatep can only choose Geheb, god of earth, as his devotion. It's actually a little bit unfortunate. The other Lich Priest lords aren't actually able to choose a godly devotion, which is kind of shocking. Maybe it's because they're supposed to be devoted to all of the Nehekaran gods, but I still find that a little bit weird. That the regular kings can be, the regular Tomb Kings, each one can choose a god to devote themselves to, and then their Lich Priests can't do it at all. The unfortunate aspect of this being the fact that there's a fairly significant set of buffs on these things. 4 and 4 for Ushabti, for example, 8 melee defense for Tomb Guard, hero recruit rank for Tomb Princes, a 20% missile strength increase, 20 wins of magic reserve, ambush success chance plus 20, SF is solid. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in there, is what I'm getting at. Go figure. Xar is actually kind of terrible, minus the campaign movement range, which is awesome, but yeah, so weird, but oh well, what can you do? Next step, and we do have to keep away from Mr. Dastan, as this army isn't strong enough to deal with him, plus it needs to swap out a bunch of units. Now, you are still healing in this territory, which means we could hold off on trading toward Ruinous, at least for now, but these guys might be tempted to take it for themselves. It's not like you're that damaged. If you're heading back to join our own troops anyway, it might not matter. Alright, go here. I assume we wouldn't be able to heal in the shared sea, and I think we're going to trade toward Ruinous just in case. It's probably safer to do it in that way. Like so, toward Ruinous to you, sir. And non-aggression, trade, military access, and money. Not a crazy amount of money, but this is all necessary. Go. Wait. Just to double check. I want to double check the defensive agreement. Yeah, no dice. That's okay.
Your will is done.
Alright, like so. Enjoy toward Ruinous, sir. Alright, now he's rising up to plus 30 with us, which is good, and the more we trade with the various Sylvan factions, the more they'll all like each, or like us. Let's build the Mastaba here at Avathir. I'm still kind of on the fence as to whether we should trade it for Torsathai and then trade these around, sort of, do another little switcheroo, but I'll think about it, we'll see. For now, let's get back to Wisdom of the Third Dynasty. We also want to get the Proclamation of the Second Dynasty, but once we have a little bit more cash, that doesn't need to be immediately used for building stuff. Actually, speaking of building stuff, okay, first of all, Hetakor, I would like you to move out here. I want to see if Nakari is nearby. I don't see him, though. Alright. It's fine for now. Then, we'll probably want to do some building. Sildrator, you will go for that vineyard. Gotta get that trade up and running. The public order here is still kind of mess, surprisingly. So we'll build ourselves another public order building. And once again, the Sword of Cain probably isn't helping matters, but we'll fix it. And this can actually be upgraded for fairly cheap, so I think maybe for a turn we'll pop you into SF, or back into SF, I should say. You're fine as you are. Tyrant Peak, you are growing. We could actually increase... Actually, next turn... And we'd be able to upgrade the Mausoleum here. If we keep you in Worship of Tra, right? I think so. Okay, just stay there for now, like you are. You can be back to SF to stay maxed out, as there's nothing to do here for a little bit. Cleric Spire. Alright, there's a bunch of stuff that we want to build here. So, statue, and all of this stuff. Some of which will be deleted later, but for now it'll be making us additional money that we can use to build additional stuff. Rehobi. You should be able to build a new shop tea, just the one, but we gotta build something. And out of stuff that we also want to build here. Anything interesting? Not really. Alright, get rid of the Royal Barracks here, as we need to replace it with a Fated Pyramidion. I'm wondering what kind of armies everybody will have now. As in, well, the next army. I think we'll combine the Sepulchral Stalkers with Skeleton Archers and get an SF Devoted Lord to increase their missile strength, and maybe some artillery as we get capacity, hopefully, later on. We could build a few more Nehekara Horsemen, for example. And, I don't know, just build a Skeleton Archer. I don't care for the regular Skeleton Horsemen as opposed to the Nehekaran Horsemen, because they're just too light. They're light cav. And while the Skeleton Horse Archers are fine, I'd rather use the, generally speaking, prefer to use the Skeleton Chariots for a very similar purpose, but they perform better, so there's that. Rehobi, you've got a few more turns of building stuff. I guess you can build some Skeletal Spears, just in case. And we do have the Tomb Scorpion, but we're going to move you down here to actually recruit them. Yeah, alright. That works out. Next up, wait, that was all the buildings, yes? Let me just double check here. Yeah, I don't see any more buildings. Do we need to... Yeah, we'll need to reduce the cost by building the Royal Barracks here. This is fine. Ashen Coast is fine. For now. Plain of Dogs is switching. Bleak Coast will be traded, and Avathir will be traded as well, so it's time for a battle. Khatep. Great Dynasties. And into... Wait, do we need to level for this? Level the Necrotect. Should we have all the good stuff? I guess we could get you Indomitable Will, but maybe hold on to the points then. We could level the Lich Priest instead. You have your Canopic Jar Holder. We can get you Earthing, though, once again, you're not really casting. Yeah, I still think we should get Arcane Conduit, so let's do that. And we'll ignore you. So, now we go. Alright, Valiant defeat, you say? Oh, wow. 2 Cold One Dread Knights, 4 Executioners, a Blackguard of Nagaron, Shades and stuff. They got some good stuff in there. Let's see if it's good enough. Go.
Is the dawn of the mortuary cult.
Alrighty, here we go. Lots of artillery to our name now for this particular army, and against minor settlements, those caskets are going to be absolutely devastating. But you have to knock out that piercing tower first, though, and the Screaming Skull Catapult will get right on that. Wouldn't really want to waste the shots from the caskets on it. That said, caskets have a pretty solid amount of ammunition, so they can fire for quite a long time, and there's little the Dark Elves can do about this particular bombardment. Also notice there's a bunch of eagles flying overhead. Too bad it doesn't switch to carrion when attacked by the Tomb Kings. Alright, well, bombardment's going to go on for a little while, I'd wager, just targeting whatever units we can in the enemy settlement while we attempt to knock down that tower. Let's get a few more shots of the artillery fire landing, and then we'll maybe speed it up a little bit until the battle is joined, as there's only so many hits from artillery that we can watch. Alright, that was a pretty decent one. Of course, the enemies aren't blobbed up. The AI is doing a decent job of keeping its units sort of separated. And good on it, too, as it would obviously just lose tons and tons of them. 2-3 of these things firing at them at the same time. A sandstorm comes down from Khatep. We try to move forward our Lich Priests in order to get them casting, but it looks like the enemy gives charge and attacks us immediately. These, of course, are Cold One Dread Knights, a tier 5 unit who... Oh wow, Necropolis Knights are only tier 3? Huh. I mean, considering how well they've been doing, it's kind of surprising. Okay, go figure. But anyway, we'll charge the enemy Dread Knights with our Necropolis Knights and the Sphinx of Usek, and together they should not only tower over the enemies, but obliterate them without too much trouble. Especially if we debuff them as we go. And besides, we got more enemy units moving forward, and, well, good luck to them, as the Tomb Guard and the rest of the units will be able to hold them off just fine. Do have to be careful with our artillery fire, however, if you're not careful about watching your caskets, and I guess your Screaming Skulls by the looks of that shot, they will obliterate your own units. Though, to be fair, the Skeleton Warriors summoned by our Lich Priests are just destructible. Plus, they don't last very long. They get summoned, but they're much shorter than I think another summoned unit, or at the very least it feels like they don't last very long. So doing damage to them with our own artillery is really perfectly fine. Alright, and it looks like a unit of Executioners was kept back by the summoned skeletons. It looks like they will actually ignore the Sphinx of Usek, but that's just fine. We'll get a sandstorm in their way while we continue dropping those artillery shots from our Caskets of Souls, and the enemies will either have to wait or wade through that sandstorm. Alright, the sandstorm is done, but that allowed, looks like, at least one more shot from our artillery to charge up. And it's almost like the enemy is the one attempting to siege us, as we're just waiting patiently here. Our Sepulchral Stalkers and our Necropolis Knights working together with the Tomb Guard and the Sphinx of Usek to hold off the enemy elites. That is, once again, a lot of Executioners, joined by Blackguard, a fantastic garrison on the enemy side. And once again, I am a little bit jealous of it, because the Tomb Guard or Tomb King garrisons are just garbage by comparison. But it's not like we've had to rely on them so far in this campaign. So there is that. Anyway, here comes a nice charge right through the formation of enemy Executioners, and they pretty much got knocked down to a man, which was a great work from those Necropolis Knights. And by the looks of it, all of the Executioners are out, or at the very least routing. The Blackguard of Nagarond are wavering, and the enemy army is, well, if not yet down to the dregs, certainly deprived of their best units. And we can just keep on making our way up the hill. I love seeing the increase of the additional elite units in our army as well. Can't wait for our army to have Hyro Titans towering over all the enemies and spamming those laser eyes of theirs. We can attack towards that building as soon as we possibly can. I probably should do our best to try to preemptively get a bunch of capacity for them, so as soon as our first building of them is up, we can build a bunch. And it should be reasonably possible, as we can get capacity via both Necrotects as well as the, I forget the name of the building once again, but there's a capacity of everything building. Just get a couple of those and it'll be real good. Anyway, another sandstorm comes down in the way of one unit that was, well, in the way of two units that were trying to escape. A few of our other units have made their way forward. The Sepulchral Stalkers, the Eyes of the Desert, working together with those Necropolis Knights to give charge to a unit of Shades with greatswords. Certainly don't want them firing on us, and they won't be firing on anything much longer. Oh my lord, that was brutal. The guy got knocked back and like smashed into the wall before falling down. Broken spine, probably. Unpleasant either way. Though the ones being exploded into bits from those massive halberds probably didn't fare all that much better anyway. Anyway, we've moved the Necrotect forward, who's gotten 94 kills. Pretty solid. Solid, sir. 14k damage. Yeah, it's that, he's still doing damage. It's that poison working on the enemies. A little bit of contact and that toxic venom will continue to do damage, which is nice. It's very nice. We can certainly make good use of these guys on chariots against infantry armies, ride through an enemy line, apply some toxic venom, and do it a couple times and certainly rack up the kills. And the reason why he was forward was not to do this damage, however, but just to keep those shades in sight so that our artillery can continue its bombardment. Not that it'll need to do too much longer. The enemy lord has been caught by the other Necrotect who's on foot, as well as the Sphinx of Usekf, and said lord is just about done, attempting to, well, is terrified and attempting to run away. Out here we've also made our way into the enemy settlement from various other directions. Skeleton chariots, Nehekara horsemen have captured this minor supply location, and there's another unit of skeleton chariots moving around here, getting ready to charge the Dark Shards. If the enemy doesn't want to send a few of these units into the fight directly, we can simply start capturing supply points, our key locations, until they're either ready to fight or ready to lose. Alright, and how's our ammunition looking? About half ammunition still remaining on Khatep and co. Khatep's got a solid 180 kills to his name as well, and considering the relatively elite nature of this particular enemy army, that's pretty good. Sadly for those shades, I don't think they're gonna get away from this one, especially with the Necrotect on their heels, and keeping them nice and visible. Wait, does stock reactivate if your unit is routing? Huh? I don't know. Gotta pay attention to next time a unit attempts to run away or, well, is shattered while being a unit that has stock. A unit that is running definitely does disappear in trees, or does it? I'm second guessing myself. Anyway, either way, on the rightmost flank by themselves, the chariots have charged into Dark Shards, and even though these chariots are very much fragile, they are strong enough to run down the similarly fragile in melee and Dark Shards, not like their Black Ark Corsairs. Otherwise, it looks like the balance of power is at about 90% in our favor. Another key supply point has been captured. The main supply point is over on this side. But it looks like we'll have that one soon too, as we're going to send a unit of Nehekara horsemen up there. And the enemy is still refusing to fight with a few of those units. I guess these ones kind of make sense because they're trying to avoid fire from our artillery, which are doing a little bit of area denial. And the enemy kept in unit of Cold One Dread Knights out of the fight. Alright. Let's see how they like a few shotgun blasts. It looks like the enemy is prioritizing recapturing this point rather than charging us, which will allow these Spokal Stalkers to take a few nice blasts at the enemy. Can't wait to have a nice line of these guys working with those shotgun blasts together. It's obviously much better against units that are blobbed up than a single unit of Dread Knights. And ooh, that charge, the sudden charge is very fast. These guys accelerate very quickly, don't they? I wonder if the Sepulchral Stalkers have a particularly quick acceleration stats, because it felt like they were standing still and then they just burst into motion, which is pretty great. Maybe the whole snake thing helps out with that. Anyway, with that, the enemy army gives it up and the battle is ours. A nice little siege, and certainly showing the power of both the snakes and the artillery working together. Alright, there we go. Very nice. Certainly a very elite garrison, but with 3 caskets of souls that was always going to go rather poorly for the enemy. Solid damage on one of the Necrotects as well. This one went into melee and was able to apply that toxic venom, which worked out quite nicely. Necropolis Knights did great as always, but the Eyes of the Desert weren't too far behind either. And we will occupy the place and possibly trade it for good stuff later on. Scourge of Cain destroyed. We got to keep one of the military structures. And how much is this worth to you right now? Crown of Cain. 69. Not bad. Not bad. Not quite to vassalization, but There is potential. Alright, don't collect the income. We'll wait until we can upgrade it to a mausoleum, build another military structure, and possibly destroy the desert lookout later on. But for now, while the place remains undefended, we'll keep the desert lookout in with the idea that we may want to trade it later on. We got 2 opportunities, potentially, to try to vassalize Avalorn, or really want that tribute income, which would be just fantastic. Anyway, that all looks good. Just gotta keep an eye out on the other elves, like Eataine, which we still don't know. Illyrian is moving towards Lycanus. Well, Tiranoc is not, but Tiranoc is weak. They only have the 1 gate, and I'd say rather unlikely that they'll attack us. It would be foolish, I would imagine. Although, well, let's face it, the AI is not the most smart. Anyway, with that, I do believe we're good to go to end the turn. There's no diplomacy. Outpost available, not right now. Let's end the turn. Let's see if we can't reach Jean de Bain and get our next book of Nagash here. I also want to move into the Shrine of Kurnos, though the problem there is we'd have to trespass to do it, and the other elves will not be happy about that. Well, neither Avalorn nor all the other elves on the island would be happy about that. So I guess the best way to go about it is to take Elysia and then go back towards Shrine of Kurnos, if we actually manage to do it. Heralds of Ariel will get attacked by the Flame Gullets. Not great. Why would you do this? Interwar on side of ally. The issue is the Flame Gullets will now immediately move into our relatively undefended territory. So you will have to deal with them, and... oh. Okay, yeah, we don't need the archer here. We don't need the archer. While succeeds, Broken Axe, Slaughterhorn Tribe destroyed. Well done to the Heralds of Ariel. And keep taking these territories. Yeah, these guys are coming for us. Probably going to attack Hrothgar's Spire. I'm just going to hope that we can manage to hold. One more turn here. And I guess keep building more stuff. Build a couple more regular skeletal chariots. Ooh, yes, definitely build a Screaming Skull Catapult. I'm not entirely sure where we got the additional capacity for it. These things are built out of the Skull Repository. I don't recall building another Skull Repository anywhere. Unless, wait. Oh! Huh. We got the Skull Repository here. Oh, damn, I didn't even notice that. If I had noticed... wait. Weird. Huh. It doesn't provide capacity increase. Do we have another one elsewhere? Okay, I don't know. It doesn't matter. We're building one either way, I guess. It's no problem. You, my friend, are going to move through the Fated Pyramidion thing. Start going through that. And yeah, we can build more military structures, but I think we need some civilian stuff to get up and running now. Khatep, you will not, by the looks of it, be able to reach Jean de Bain in a single turn, but very close to it. You can, however, grab the Mysterious Island, so that's what you'll do. Go for it. Hopefully this guy has to stay still and isn't capable of running. Mushroom Stew, sir. Mathland's Blessing, 25% rather, not 15. Physical resistance, solid. Khatep, you've also leveled up. Now, I was going through to Skullstorm, but now I'm almost thinking that maybe we want to get Sun-Scorched Bones. The extra armor on the Tomb Guard, it's not much, but they're quite fragile right now. And that's with the Monument of Geheb giving us an extra 10 armor, so I think perhaps maybe we'll go for the military stuff. Oh, damn. What I should have done at the end of that turn was get a Necrotech, but I actually don't like either one of these Necrotechs, so that wouldn't have worked. Let's recruit one and then delete them and then mill them until we get one that's decent and worth leveling. Next up, Rakash. How are Mazdamundi? He's still okay. You could land here and try... oh, no, you can't. Nah, I think you're still gonna head southward. Don't bother getting too close to Eataine. Just go here. Get ready to swap units out with this army. And also get ready to fight Mazdamundi. For now, we're growing, so we're still okay. Alright, diplomacy. Let's see if there's anything interesting here. Hexawedel, no. Eataine. Ooh, we know Eataine now. That's dangerous. Let's hope they don't do anything. And otherwise, we're looking okay. Ancestral Throng is still alive, but down to 3 settlements. They had 5 or 6 there for a while, but no longer do. Next up, we got buildings. Definitely some to be built. First of all, Cleric Spire. You stay in worship. because we'll need to keep building these Fated Pyramidions. Titan Peaks, you are good as you are. Keep getting that public order. Ashen Coast, you will need to switch now to Worship and reduce the construction cost of it at the very least. The Mausoleum, in Plain of Dogs, you are good as you are for 1 turn. Nagash, stay as you are. Bleak Coast, stay as you are. And Abathir, stay as you are. All for the purpose of trading settlements. The other elves aren't going to attack you, are they? Illyrian? They better not. We'll see. Man, maybe if these guys lose an army, the Shrine of Cain will be worth suddenly a lot more. They're only at war with the Seducers of Slaaneshi because Eotain wiped out the... well, presumably Eotain wiped out the Vampire Coast, or specifically Noctilus, and then we wiped out the Scourge of Cain, which was being a scourge, I'm sure, to them. Next up, I need to level you guys. You're not level 10 yet, so I think we could just ignore you. In fact, I think there isn't actually anything to do other than just look around with Mr. Hetekor. Oh, actually, Hetekor, you found this stuff. Go this way now. There is another book here at Kuhan, on which he's minus 5 Chaos Corruption. I don't know who this is owned by. Hopefully it's not owned by Wood Elves, or else we'll be forced to attack them. But anyway, I believe we're ready to end the turn, so end turn. Alright, oh damn, I forgot to check our techs. Hopefully the new army doesn't come up this turn, because it's just something I wanted to avoid. Also, hopefully the ogres won't go for us immediately, but well, if they do, they do. I don't see an army over there. I wonder how many territories they have. One of their heroes went somewhere. But it's not an army, or we would have probably gotten a notification of it. Nemesis Crown. How close is this? What if we grab Kurun because of the book and then sail to the Nemesis Crown? Is that too far? Are we really off course here? I don't know, but the idea kind of amuses me. Either way, you, sir, are heading out to Kuhan. I'd like to see what's over there. It's probably gonna... it was Be'lakor, most likely, that was... well, that had at least taken it. Hexoatl now fighting another faction, but their dislike of us is growing, so that's going to be a thing. You can build a new Shaptu with a Great Bow and another Sepulchral Stalker, but alas, for now, we need you to deal with the... Sisters of Twilight are moving up there. What's the likelihood they stop? You know what? We could risk it and keep recruiting while the Sisters of Twilight move up. On the other hand, wait, if we take this and level it up and potentially trade it to the dwarfs, what's the likelihood? Oh, wow. No, these guys are probably gonna fight each other, unless we vassalize both of them, which is not super likely. You know what, Rehobi, just in case we're gonna move you up here, who knows? I don't think we'll be able to reach Shrogtag Mount before the sisters do, but who knows? What if they fail in the attack? And if you succeed, it would work out nicely for us. Okay, we still got 2 turns on Wisdom of the 3rd Dynasty, so that's okay. Mortuary Cult we'll keep ignoring. And I guess, Khatep, you've got yourself another book fight. I'm just imagining him chucking books at or him and his priests just chucking books at the enemy in a little team. Alright. Oh, they've got Royal Hippogriff Knights? Okay, the Luminarch and the Hippogriff Knights are going to be a problem. In fact, they're going to be a huge problem for this particular army. I'll say it's a solid army. Luminarch hurts the Sphinx. The damn Royal Hippogriff Knights. They could kill Khatep or the Disciples. You know what I should have done before going here? I should have replaced these guys with more Necropolis Knights. Well, this is actually liable to be a pretty interesting fight. In fact, so interesting that we should level up before we do it. You're gonna get a point in Net of Amantok. And we might need to emergency pop it to stop an enemy in its tracks. You are going to get Fated Biuna. You might need it to hit the Royal Hippogriff Knights. They have no spell resistance, so should in theory work against them. You have Graceful Constructs and such. This also one Under Siege. Yeah, we got a lot of buffs for one Under Siege, but that doesn't really help us. You will eventually need to power the Hyro Titans, but we don't have any in the army right now. The other stuff we will probably not have in this particular army. I guess you can have Trapped Soul and Ceremonial Bandages for now. It'll be a while before you can get Master Builder after all. You're rank 9 and thus still ignorable until you reach rank 10, and so, let's give this a shot. Declare war. Yes. Yes. And close defeat, eh? Yeah, it's gonna be a tough fight. Although the enemy lord is at least weak. Go. Alrighty, here we go. This is liable to be the toughest battle of the campaign. So far as we're facing off against an army that is very, very elite, both higher veterancy in our army and generally either max veterancy or very, very high in the first place. Also, the Kepra Guard just look fantastic, don't they? I love those twin blades and the sort of green color scheme that they've got going on. But we can only build one. But anyway, yeah, the enemy army is going to be tough to deal with. Plus, we have 5 heroes, so the enemy has 5 more units on top of all that veterancy. And most importantly, there's a bunch of units in the enemy army that we're going to have a very tough time dealing with. Those Royal Hippogriff Knights with their pretty insane stats are going to just be such a menace in this particular battle. Heavily armored, massive attack and defense stats, magical damage, ward save, resistances of various kinds, Grail Vitality, which will allow them to heal up. And it's all going to be real nasty. And then there's also Grail Guardians to consider as well. Fortunately, the enemy infantry ranks are still going to be fairly fragile. The Battle Pilgrims and the Flagellants alike to be very susceptible to both the Screaming Skulls and the massed fire from our caskets. All right, let's see how all that does. There we go. Some nice shots from all of these guys. Though we will have to switch our Screaming Skull Catapult to directly fire on that Luminarch. Hopefully it will keep the AI trying to dodge shots rather than actually firing at us, because a couple blows from a Luminarch can be absolutely devastating. I actually wonder how many shots it would take for it to kill off a Casket of Souls. It only has 4.2k of HP. Their HP is actually fairly low, and Luminarchs hit very, very hard. So yeah, Casket, or not Casket, Screaming Skull Catapult, I hope you can take care of that thing, because it's gonna be needed. Out on the rightmost flank, we've attempted to, well, flank the enemy with the Nehekara Horsemen and the Skeletal Chariots, and by the looks of it, the enemy has given chase with a unit of Royal Hippogriff Knights, Knights of the Blazing Sun, and Questing Knights. This is probably a good thing, to be perfectly frank. The more of those units aren't in our relatively limited main line, the better. And we have a limited anti-large as well until we can get some Tomb Guard with halberds. Alright, looks like the enemy Grail Guardians have arrived. Another one of those darn healing, very resistant units that we're going to have to attempt to deal with. So, the Necropolis Knights, the Sphinx of Usek, and our Sepulchral Stalkers, the Eyes of the Desert, are all going to try to mob and destroy that Grail Guardian unit fast as they can. The enemy infantry line continues to move towards us. A nice sandstorm sort of stops them in their place. And we sent forth our priests to summon a couple more skeleton warriors just to get in the enemy's way. They've now gotten close enough for us to activate our Sword of Cain Vortex, which absolutely rips into those flagellants. Of course, the flagellants aren't a particularly good unit and are going to be pretty much decimated by that attack anyway. Alright, very nice. Out here, the Nubstep Guardians, one of our units of Tomb Guard, are holding back some Halberdiers. The Halberdiers' armor piercing, and here comes a lot more armor piercing as those Royal Hippogriff Knights lend their wings and lances and claws and beaks to the whole thing. They're menaces is what I'm getting at. The left flank is still very much in the fight, but the Sphinx of Usek has slowly taken down those darn Grail Guardians. 6 to its name, and hopefully it can just kill the rest of them one by one. One more Skeletal Warrior summon from one of our Lich Priests, and that's 2 for 2. But at the very least, they should be blocking the Questing Knights and the Grail Guardians and locking them in place. Out here, we have one unit of our Tomb Guard, the Iron Sands Striders, attempting to hold back the tide of enemies, as this is where the biggest concentration of enemy melee troops is. The enemy Lord is still alive, and we're slowly dropping Spirit Leeches on him to try to dish out damage. Over in the background, we have managed to force the Great Cannons to rout, but at the same time, the Royal Hippogriff Knights have destroyed one unit of chariots and are quickly chasing down the second. One of our Nehek horsemen is also very heavily damaged, and actually both of them are very heavily damaged, having lost pretty handily to Questing Knights. Hardly surprising though, as the Questing Knights are probably point for point, or cost-wise, arguably the best unit in the Bretonnian roster. Well, not counting bowmen, but that's just like spam unit. Mid-game and on, Questing Knights are just fantastic. Mostly because the Grail Knights and all are just super expensive. And plus you need the higher tier. But anyway, looks like, speaking of Grail Knights or Grail Guardians, the Sphinx of Usek has brought them down to 1, and the Questing Knights here have finally lost to the Snakes, which have managed to hold the left flank. We are also still holding the center here, the Iron Sand Striders down to about half of their HP, in their attempt to hold back the pile of Halberdiers and Battle Pilgrims and whatnot. The rightmost flank is kind of on the verge of collapse. We've sent in the Kepra Guard to try to hold the enemy back, while the Nubstep Guardians and back off. The enemy Lord has finally succumbed to Spirit Leech spam, and the Sphinx of Usek is now in the fray as well, trying to take on the enemy Royal Hippogriff Knights now that it's done dealing with those darn Grail Guardians. Battle is very close, but the balance of power has shifted to about 80% in our favor now, though all of our units are heavily damaged. Khatep and one of his caskets are down to about half or below half HP. All of our chariots and our cavalry, or our non-Necroserpent cavalry, I should say, have been destroyed. And we just have to see off those darn elites. Alright, Knights of the Blazing Sun versus Sepulchral Stalkers and Necropolis Knights. That should go in our favor. The Knights of the Blazing Sun are a decent unit, but they are still relatively fragile Empire Knights and shouldn't stand a chance against these guys. Can't say the same thing for the enemy Grail Guardians or the enemy Royal Hippogriff Knights or Questing Knights, however. But the Sphinx of Usek should be very, very good at dealing with these kinds of threats, as long as they all don't decide to surround him. The best thing for the AI to have done in this particular battle was to, well, the first best thing would have been to send all of the Royal Hippogriff Knights directly at Khatep and our units of and our caskets, just surround them and destroy them before we could do anything. In fact, at the start of the battle, you probably saw the deployment wherein I had all of the caskets relatively close to each other, a unit of Tomb Guard standing on top of them, and the Sepulchral Stalkers standing on top of them, just under the assumption that the enemy would attempt to land those Royal Hippogriffs directly on them. Fortunately for us, the enemy didn't do that. Not so fortunately for the Skeletal Chariots and the Nehek Horsemen, who got obliterated. The second best thing the AI could have done here was to send these guys at the together at the Sphinx of Usek, because it was the thing that was bringing down all of the knights. Without it, we would have had a lot more trouble as well. Anyway, with that, the battle is ours. The enemy attempts to make its escape. We're gonna try to knock at least a few of these guys out of the sky with those Screaming Skull catapults, but I fear it's unlikely, both due to the accuracy and just the fact that these guys are very, very healthy. Alrighty, but either way, we worked for it and we did manage to pull it off. Yet another Book of Nagash is ours, and Battle Pilgrims are still fighting, though by the looks of it, not for long. I do like the fact that we actually had to earn the Book of Nagash, though, rather than getting it for free. As in from a very, very weak army. Alright, now the battle is ours. I'm just not going to bother watching that last battle, Pilgrim, because he was being knocked around by the large model units. Heroic victory, hardly surprising, but well worth the fight. Ooh, a pretty tough fight there. We lost our fragile cavalry and skeletal chariots, but we were going to eventually replace them out of this army anyway. The Screaming Skull Catapult did a pretty good job of keeping the Luminarch from firing as it was bombarding it the entire time, but this army does still struggle with super elite sort of low entity monster things, at least until we get those Hyro Titans in here. That's probably going to be the case, and it may be an argument for keeping a few Necropolis Knights or Sepulchral Stalkers in the army to deal with such threats until we have those Hyro Titans. So, yeah. Anyway, a glorious fight either way. We are going to go for Endless March, which gave us a ton of money for our trouble. And I guess since we needed to make room in here anyway, we'll pop some units in here. Yes, Endless March. Good, wait. 18k on the Iron Sand Striders and 171, so yeah, it looks like this unit, well, the thing is, the Iron Sand Striders were holding off a pile of enemy infantry, and they were doing so fairly well. The others were kind of stuck holding off much greater threats, and thus took a heck of a beating, and weren't able to do too much. We also do want a couple of halberd-wielding units of Tomb Guard in here, so that'll have to wait. We do have them in the other army, but we actually need them to be put in there. Alright, and Kidnapper for Khatep, yeah, sure. He doesn't really need the terror thing. We have a Skeleton Chariot, and there we go, the third, the Book of Nagash. Once again, I'll give a read to all 8 books once we have all 8. Casualty or punishment rate after sacking or occupying will be decently useful to us. Now, that gave us about 2 levels, which is nice. Let's start getting Sun-Scorched Bones to power up those Tomb Guard as needed. Though I am still very tempted by the Skull Storm. Let's get Sun-Scorched Bones first, and then we'll think about it. Also, what powers up the caskets? Oh, nothing powers up the caskets. Which is both good and bad. Bad in the sense that we can't get them any stronger than the veterancy will make them, but good in the sense that we don't need to waste points on them. So, a little from column A, a little from column B. Now, you, sir, are gonna get a Ruinous Time Warp, I guess, and then into Arcane Conduit as soon as you can. You did use that Fate of Biuna in that particular battle, and I guess we can max it out. I prefer the Sandstorm and the Skull Storm to Purple Sun. After all, you can have Master Builder, which will then enable you to get one of these guys. Bone Giants, Hyro Titans, and Cameron War Sphinxes. Since the Hyro Titan building will be the first one we build, we'll immediately move into the Hyro Titan capacity, and we'll deal with the other stuff afterwards. You're going to do the same thing, but not right now. First, you need the Disciple of Sokth to power up the Tomb Scorpions further. You're going to max out to increase mobility, and then you're going to go Inscription of Repair, and... I'm actually tempted to say that 3 Scorpions might actually be worth more than a single set of Ushabti. I think the next one will do Ushabti, but you're going to do Scorpions as well. Since we could just recruit a ton of Scorpions right now. And that's what we're going to do. And then we could disperse them into various armies. Plus, eventually, we'll have a very heavy, Scorpion-heavy army once we take those other Scorpions out of the army belonging to Khatep. Alright, the rest of you are looking good. We need to destroy this. Though I fear the auto-resolve won't let us. Also, wait, is there anything nearby? There's a sea corpse, but I fear we'll have to head back to the Shrine of Cain to heal up. Check out what we got going on here. Ah, nobody will die. Swell. Alright. Don't want to waste our time fighting that again. And another 2.2k, solid. Solid, and more XP for the Necrotex. Now you're going to go into full speed stance, you're going to land right back in our own territory, where you'll spend the time recuperating before heading out to, well, I guess start on the Slaaneshi, folks. And I guess you can channel as well. Go for channel. Bet we can't do Dynasty's stance, but oh well. Action destroyed a Trickster's Helm. You certainly needed it, Khatep. Beautiful. Granted, we're still probably not going to use you as a melee fighter as long as you're on the casket, but It is another reason to potentially pop you on a steed or even on a chariot. It'd be a massive amount of damage on the chariot. The problem with Tomb King chariots and steeds is the lack of mass on them. It's not going to be like the chariot or the sled belonging to Tsarina Katrin, who could just solo armies because of its mass. And we just don't have that here. So we'll see. We'll probably try it out just to compare them. You can go, I believe, into Trapped Soul. I mean, we have Living Creator here too, but yeah, let's go for Trapped Soul. And the rest of this doesn't help us out all that much. Alrighty, Rakash. You, sir. Okay, wait. We moved you guys. Rakash has to move southward or continue moving southward. He isn't in fights yet, but he most likely will be. I think we'll land at Grey Rock Point or something. I mean, I guess we could sort of move down here and keep an eye on things. There could be an island or two to pick up. While this army's at full HP, just gotta watch out for getting insta-killed by a lizard army. Don't see any islands here, but it doesn't mean there aren't more along the coastline. We could also ally with the enemies of Mazdamundi, potentially. He's fighting the Sharktooth and the Bloodhole Coven, interestingly not fighting the Cathians. I thought he was earlier, but apparently he's not right now. Nagaroth don't like us so much. Eatane's still not liking us, eh? Gotta get them to not attack us. But there's nothing we could do about it right now. I mean, if we could give them some of Nakari's territory. Is he actually fighting Nakari? He is fighting Nakari, which is good. It's very good, because he's not fighting us. One, I suppose, positive aspect of potentially trading Abathir to these guys and attempting to just keep the Shrine of Cain is that we would be able to get the military access going. And potentially trade it for Torsa Thigh. And a little bit of money. Maybe it is worth it. Who owns Volzano? Oh, Ivres owns Volzano. And then give them... And then give Ivres Torsa Thigh for potentially stuff. Okay, yeah, you know, I think we should do that. I think we should do that. We'll try it with the Shrine of Cain instead. And hope that it works out. And won't be a complete province. It probably won't be worth as much, but... Abathir. For Torsa Thigh, like so. And the military access and the teensy bit of cash. Like so. Alright, then... What does Torsa Thigh have in it? It has a military building. How much is it worth to you guys? Torsa Thigh. Not a crazy amount, but enough for a non-aggression pact and a military access and a little bit of cash. Not super worried about getting these guys not an alliance, because we should be able to take some of these territories and then give them to them anyway, so shouldn't be too concerning. Just to double check though, you're not willing to do defensive? No, I'm not even close. Alright. And just keep it friendly with all the elves. Can we get you to declare war on anybody? How about Hag Grief? Nearly. Why not? Why not? That'll make him even friendlier, because we'll be against the sort of same factions. There we go, rising up to 42. These are all eventual permanent trading partners, so the this trading stuff will pay off eventually. Alright, now, we have some money, and we should build stuff. First of all, I was really interested to see whether these things could be built or whether they actually need a landmark to build them. I don't know whether it's been changed from the way it used to work before. So, Krokagar Legion and Green Skulls, was it at the first level? Green Skulls, Krokagar Legion, yeah. Alright, so we'll build the Crumbling Temple here. Like so. Then, we will... Why did I go to Mortuary Cult? Then we'll select this thing, the Krokagar Legion, or the Green Sky. It doesn't really matter. You know what, Krokagar Legion, for range, because we're building a ranged army with the Sepulchral Stalkers. Alright, then I guess there's probably more stuff to build elsewhere, so let's check that out. Red Desert, you stay in your current stance. You are going to need to move to construction cost reduction. to build up these mausoleums at hopefully cheaper rate. Ashen Coast, you will build Scarpel's Lair and then move back into SF to get that public order rising. Ice Rock Gorge, for the next turn, you're going to go into worship. And Nagash, you are fine. Or Shrine of Cain, I guess, and the Moon Shard, you're still waiting to be potentially traded. Now, these guys don't like the strategic threat and the aversion and the ruler's prejudice, but they are still defensive allies, so hopefully it'll remain okay. Skip, building upgrade, outpost available. Oh, you know what, I think now we can build the outpost with them. We can afford it now. And the Witchwood is the only place to build it. Plus, you gotta remember that we get their units for free, if that is still the way that works. And as long as if we get some nice units in there, then there's certainly potential. We sort of do a poison army if we mix a few of those Sisters of Avalorn in there. Ooh, also, before I forget you're gonna grab the Storm Riders of Kstar and the Venom Knights of Asaph. We'll keep... Oh! We could rebuild the chariots. Oh, that's swell. Wasn't expecting that. Oh, but what we do want to do is potentially get that Necro to... Oh, right, I checked and I didn't like either of these. Hopefully we'll get a better Necrotect. Either way, we're going to pop these in here. And we have 2 more spaces, so I guess we'll temporarily get the Skeleton Chariots back. These 2 will pop into other armies, because Khatep doesn't need everything. He'll be fine. I'm just checking for Skull Islands now. A Skull Island would be so good. Don't see any here. Alright, looks like an end turn to me, so an end turn it shall be. Did I send that scout hero over to Kurun? I was intending to do so, I hope I have. We'll most likely take Kurun and then abandon it immediately because we don't want to bother holding it. It's just too much of a hassle, especially with how long it takes the Tomb Kings to actually build stuff. It just doesn't feel worth it. Alright, Aetain, Moment of Truth, please don't declare war on us right now. And no, we're still looking okay there, thanks Aetain. Enables recruitment of unit Krokagar Legion. Mission issued. Capture Shroktak Mount. Oh, right, these guys. Yeah, Sisters of Twilight ain't gonna be able to do that. Rehobi. Curiosity. Oh, you can build the Krokagar Legion. Well, that's real nice. That's real nice. These guys cause fire damage with their ammunition, huh? Okay, well that means we need to awaken the other legions. Zandri Blade, no, the Green Skulls are next. I don't even know what kind of unit you are, but ooh, this is gonna add a lot of variety to some of our armies. That's real good. I wish they didn't cost money, but we'll certainly take it. It also probably means we need another army up and running soonish to hold them. You're gonna take 2 turns to build, I think. I'm gonna move up. I think since the Sisters will most likely fail... Oh, I didn't even notice that they had a camp in here. Okay, well, that camp has to die. Oh, the Krokagar Legion also take 2 turns. I didn't realize that. I mean, we could sit here and do 1, 2, 3. Alright, just sit here for 2 turns. Shouldn't be a big deal. Oh, wow. The rating from that camp. Minus a... No. Losing my voice a little bit. No, we're gonna go... No, chariots are gonna be useless against the ogres. Our melee line is okay. I'm gonna say 2 more skeleton spears and build us a... Skeleton horse archer? Skeleton chariot? Doesn't really matter, just do something. You know what, actually... Chariots probably will not be useful against ogres at all. They're anti-infantry. It really doesn't matter, just build one. Build one will probably delete it anyway. Actually, you know what? I like the chariot more. It was an important decision, damn it. Alrighty, Khatep. Ooh, Fornica. Fornica. Oh, we'd have to trespass through these guys' territory. Oh, wait, we don't. We got the military access because of that switcheroo. Yes. Good, Ruinous. Good. What do you have for us? Ally missions, Rothgar Spire Camp, Shroktak Mount Camp, and I think it's Rothgar Spire Camp that we want to take as a mission. Yes. Alright, that's good. And then, you will keep searching for islands, minus that mysterious island. And hello. Oh, is that another mysterious island? Of course it is. These things, as I recall, I think they don't give money, which is why I don't care for them. Even though they do give us stuff without anything invested, really. You, Hetakor, I want you to see what's going on at Bellacor's place, or, well, Kuran. Just for now, Bellacor's place, and also keep an eye out on various islands as you do. Next up, Khatep, you're hurt, but not so hurt, I think, that you can't fight the... Oh, can't actually reach them, can you? Well, actually, you can in regular stance. Also, there's a concern. Do you have any anti-Slaaneshi ritual stuff? You do not. Man, I hit the frickin' Slaaneshi seduction nonsense. Especially as it probably wouldn't it wouldn't work against the Tomb Kings, would it? As in, from a loreful perspective, at least I doubt it. Well, maybe some. Some of them aren't the most sane, let's be real here. I'd like to move towards a true Grandmaster, but the rest of this is kind of meh. I'm thinking... maybe we start making you a fighter. And otherwise, we should attack. I'm just gonna hope Nakari isn't waiting, like, right there. Alright, let's see what they seduce. If it's something critical, we... Huh. Maybe they can't seduce. And oh, wow. I didn't see how many frickin' Chaos Spawn they have. That's a lot of Chaos Spawn that the catapults probably won't do too well against. Nonetheless, I think it'll be a fun fight, and fun fight we shall fight. Go.
Is the dawn of the mortuary cult.
Alright, I love the sound of those souls screaming towards the enemy. It's a fantastic piece, and you got to love these screaming skull catapults as well. That's a lovely unit. I do prefer the vampire counts, but I do, generally speaking, have a soft spot for the undead. It's still quite a shame that the Nagash mods, replays are broken. Otherwise, I'd be all over it. And I was planning to do a thing, but I did test it out. And the replays just never worked for it. Anyway, battle begins once more. I was tempted to switch Khatep for this particular battle off of the casket and give him his skeletal steed and sword, his mountain blade, but alas, I think that in this particular case we're still better off using the casket. Field battles, well, it really depends on the specific battle. And the thing that made me consider it here is just a massive pile of spawn of Slaanesh. It's going to take a while to work through them, and now they actually have surprisingly decent melee defense at 46. Wasn't expecting all that much from spawn. Oh, they have 7 from Siege Defender, and also 4 additional from the difficulty modifier from the from dialing up the AI stats, eh? Well, good for them, but it makes the spawn of Slaanesh a lot less fragile than perhaps expected. Anyway, the bombardment begins once more. The Slaaneshi about to feel the same thing that the Dark Elves did of the Scourge of Cain before they met their destruction at the hands of Khatep. Who, once again, I really wasn't expecting to be up here all that much, but hey. At the end of the day, there was a Book of Nagash here, and there is one at Kuran, so we do have reason to be up here. It's not just all fun and games. Call it DJ Khatep's World Tour, but anyway, a bombardment will continue for a while yet, getting a few more nice shots of them from here. One other thing I really like about constructs is that the way they don't move. You know, the living units, they sort of like, they do that thing, you know, like the model thing where the NPCs or whatever, they sort of like shake and have little tiny movements, like little idle movements. That's the word. That's the one I was looking for. But constructs stand perfectly still until sent into combat. I've always liked that. It's a nice touch. They could have gone with unnecessary little moves on them, but it wouldn't have made sense. Anyway, bombardment will continue for a while yet, but I think we've seen enough of it over the course of the couple of battles throughout this episode, so we'll just let it run its course for a little while until the enemy is sufficiently annoyed to move towards us. And there we go, first of the enemy is, as such, the spawn of Slaaneshi unit will charge towards our Necrotect, who will charge forward and then promptly back away just in case. A few nice shotgun blasts to the face of those Slaaneshi spawn, and that seems like the appropriate response. You see one of these things coming at you, you probably think, yeah, shotgun to the face, please, immediately. And it looks like the spawn will be joined by a unit of demonettes, but well, that's probably not the safest place for them to be in, as the Necroserpents have arrived, the Spokal Stalkers and the Necropolis Knights, specifically the Venom Knights of Asaph, with their... just click on them here. If I could just click on them for a second game, please. Oh, damn, the bleed from the incantation of Cursed Blades over right. Yeah, we'll just get back to it in a second. And in the meantime, we can watch them hold the enemy back. And I suppose these Spokal Stalkers with their anti-large halberds, they can do fairly well at holding the enemy off. The Sphinx of Usek, like it did against the book-holding army, will be pretty darn instrumental here at knocking out spawn after spawn after spawn. And back to those Knights, Venom Knights of Asaph. Nope, they're still... Okay. We'll deal with them later. Oh, what was that effect? Huh. I'm not sure what that was, but whatever. Anyway, even more Slaaneshi spawn are joining. Well, there's a big old pile of them down there now, and even more are coming in. I think there's probably more somewhere in the enemy, so I'm going to see at least one back there. So, slowly but surely, we're going to have to work our way through all of these. I really wish these trees weren't here, because they keep blocking the camera. But oh well, just a good old-fashioned brawl now as the Sphinx of Usek and the Spokal Stalkers and Necropolis Knights slowly work their way through the enemy. Fortunately, this is working out fairly nicely for us as the various spells that we have lend themselves well to this sort of defense. We have Soul Blight to reduce the enemy's stats all over the place. We have the Helm of Discord, and then we have the ability to buff ourselves up by giving ourselves either Foz protection or Neru's protection as well. So as long as we're in a blob like this, it's going to probably work in our favor. We do, however, have to keep seeing all the various effects on the enemies, like that Soul Blight, for example. And at the very least, the Soul Blight brings the enemy Slaanesh spawns, brings their melee defenses down, their stats down to where they should be. Huh, wait, Venom Knight's Pleasure, that's from the Demonettes. Is that an override? Shouldn't they be doing poison damage? I'm pretty sure it's an override. If it is in fact an override, that's actually kind of an interesting effect. Yeah. And it's an interesting effect in the sense that it's sort of like a hidden advantage to the thing. I.e., not only does it cause that buff, but it overrides things that could be very devastating, especially in SFO, which has a lot of nasty contact effects. Anyway, more Demonettes and more Chaos Spawn come down, and we just gotta keep on fighting them off. Fate of Biuna comes down on one of the spawn. We've been spamming Fate of Biuna as well as the Spirit Leeches on the spawn, while the Sphinx of Usek can, I'm sure, slowly work through all of them. There are just too many for them, to work through them quickly. We've also been rotating the Tomb Guard periodically. One unit gets damaged, we send another one in, rather than having a single unit take massive amounts of damage. And just what you gotta do, especially when we're in kind of a dangerous sort of situation where we have to be careful about taking too many losses. Because you never know when we'll get attacked by a full stack. Anyway, damn, those effects, man, they just cover everything. Kind of difficult to see the enemy, though there aren't too many of them to see now, as the 5 units of Chaos Spawn that are down here are being quickly, well, maybe not quickly, but are certainly being whittled down. And how's the rest of the enemy settlement looking? Well, I still have a decent bit of units in there, but without the Chaos Spawn, I'd wager that they won't stand too much of a chance. And we held them back pretty nicely in this particular brawl. As odd as it may seem to be, you know, holding them back when we're the ones besieging them, but their other option was to stay in their settlement while our Caskets of Souls obliterated all their infantry units, leaving only the Chaos Spawn. Although down in this brawl, it is pretty much only the Chaos Spawn as well, even though... Oh, gotta be careful with those. Alright, really gotta be careful with those. Damn you, Casket. I think it knocked out one of the Necro Serpents there. Yeah, generally speaking, with the Caskets of Souls, it's kind of generally safer not to have them on auto-fire, but to really babysit them if you have a lot of infantry or even cavalry in your particular army, because a couple of shots from them can absolutely obliterate one of your own units, especially when they're relatively close up, as the, I believe the accuracy of the caskets increases as you get closer, so the sort of grouping of their shots doesn't spread out quite as much if they're firing relatively close to themselves, and spreads out a lot more at a distance. Like so. Though this is only about half the distance. And, oh, would you look at that, an enemy cultist has made its way forward, but is already broken and terrified of the Sphinx of Usek, which is hardly surprising. Speaking of the Sphinx, if I can click you, 24k damage and 40 kills, that's probably about 40 Chaos Spawn, so it's a fair few kills to its name. Maybe a few Demonettes or Marauders made their way in there, but it was specifically told to target the Chaos Spawn at pretty much all times. Anyway, with that, the enemy army will give up as well, having failed to, well, find any ground, and being forced to take hit after hit from our artillery. And oh wow, I didn't know that the central tower was destructible. Oh, that's kind of neat. I knew these two columns were destructible. I had no idea about the central tower. I wonder if this tower is also destructible. If it's of the same type, it probably... Well, no, actually, it is a different type. Alright, next time we're on this map, I'm gonna have the Caskets of Souls or the Screaming Skull just try to fire on this thing, just because I'm curious to see if it can be destroyed. But anyway, battle's ours, and Khatep is victorious once more. Alright, very nice, very nice. Despite the pretty massive numbers of Spawn of Slaaneshi, which are high damage dealing, solid units, we were able to hold ground in large part because of the Venom Knights of Asaph and the Eyes of the Desert, both of which did... Wow. 238, 21, 238, 35. They're within 15 damage of each other. That's really unlikely, damn. Especially considering they're different types of units. But anyway, these two with the Sphinx of Usek in the lead were able to hold off the line of Slaaneshi spawn, and it worked out fairly well for us. The Coffin Dead and the Disciple of Al-Kharid did 31k and 44k damage, with Khatep taking 76k, though we don't know how much of that damage is from the Sword of Cain, how much is from the Sandstorm, and how much is from his casket. I do wish there was a way to know to separate it, but oh well. Anyway, we're going to take the place for ourselves, as in for now, and it also has a wall. You know what, that's fine, keep the wall. Storm of Necromancy. What does that do? What did that do? Oh, that's the thing when you take a thing and you, and everything becomes sandstormy. Yes, that's fine. That is just fine. Oh, Timmy Bloodletter. Wait, the Drowned have only one settlement. Ooh, if Silostra comes back here, we might be able to get her defeat trait. Do I know what her defeat trait is? No. Do I know what her defeat trait is in SFO? Still no. I don't remember, but, it might be worth our time.
For the
We're also, I'm thinking now, we're also going to have to figure out which settlements we trade to who, which is going to be quite the issue, but nonetheless. Shrine of Ruinous, just out of curiosity, 69, still not to that vassalage. And this is also worth 69, so they're worth identical amounts, despite the fact that the Shrine of Cain has a landmark in it. A little bit weird that the AI doesn't care about the existence of landmarks in places, but oh well. Also, I want to check for new necrotexts. Frenetic and Intelligent, still no new good necrotexts. Damn it, we could have been leveling the necrotexts up. I'm almost tempted. Okay, you know what, we'll do it one more turn. Or we could just get this guy in here and then delete him if a better one comes along. Maybe that's the way to do it. Alright, let's get this guy in here, and we'll see. I really hate to lose out on the bonus XP and the levels and whatnot. As for Khatep, Sun-Scorched Bones will fairly significantly buff the Tomb Guard up to 59 melee defense, 78 armor, fairly solid, and upgrades will make them even stronger as we go. Lich Priests. Definitely Arcane Conduit. Sorry if I sound weird. I'm losing my voice. It happens on occasion. I gotta talk a lot at work, and then you know, I do this, and then sometimes it's just a little too much for the old vocal cords. What do we have here? Let's take a drink. I think we're gonna go with hard to hit on you. I mean, alright, laboratory doesn't actually do anything for us. I thought it was research rate, but that doesn't do anything. Yeah, just go hard to hit, go hard to hit. Alright, and the last guy, you have mobility, you're gonna get Loving Creator, and then we'll move into one of these once we actually, you know, have a use for them. But for now, just go into Indomitable Will. And, oh, you don't have Canopic Jar Hoarder, and neither do you. Oh, I should get you both jars. You know, let's buff them off up to plus 12 hard to hit, maybe all the way to Tomb Strike, but definitely get Canopic Jar Hoarder next. We need many, many more jars, especially since we want to relatively early activate the different heralds because they power up armies fairly significantly. So yeah, anyway, building time. A Red Desert, we'll start with you. You're still fine, you're in that Pyramidion thing. You are good to go. We're getting the Legion units next, Titan Peaks. Which do we level? I think we want to level the port as fast as possible, Grey Rock Point. Because it will enable us to build our first tomb barks. Is it just one? Tomb bark capacity +1, yes, +1 per port, but we want to get one on the field as fast as possible. I never got the chance to try out those units, and I'm excited to do so. Anyway, you are now good, and we can switch you back to Worship of Asaph. Ashen Coast. To Construction Reduction, and Ice Rock Gorge will build up everything here. As for what else we want to build here, we could pop in the Ushabti building, or we could go for the Pyramidion, and then maybe get the Growth building. And then eventually, well, we could get the growth building to replace this growth building, as it would be a better growth building. Though, as I recall, yeah, this one doesn't actually make any money, and it loses its Canopic Jars. I'm not sure it's quite worth it as yet. I think we need more Canopic Jar capacity, and we can get that via... Oh, you know what we could do? We could do Treasure Tombs. These things are magic item drop chance, post-battle loot chance, faction-wide, and adjacency bonuses. Although it does cost 4.2k. Frankly, we should probably build these everywhere. What we also need to build everywhere is... Where's the building that generates... Oh, it's tier 4. Yeah, so it's these things. Royal Burial Chambers. They generate Canopic Jars +4 per turn, per building. So one of these has to be built in every single capital, but you can't build them in non-capitals. You know what, I think for now we'll build the Ushabti building here, and then we'll see later on. Once again, the Tomb Kings and SFO are sort of designed so that you eventually do a rebuilding sort of situation, which we will do later. Wait, which territory was that? Did it? Oh, it deordered itself, of course. You can, I guess, build this up next turn, so yeah, or the turn after that, so you're fine. Shrine of Ruinous will be traded. Shrine of Cain will be traded. And the Moon Shard, yes, military structure, 3 turns, unfortunately, but build it nonetheless. We'll see how much it's worth to these guys, and we'll possibly upgrade it as well, and then we'll see how much more it's worth afterwards. With that, I believe we're ready to end the turn and see Okay, how's Zeatan looking now? Minus 18 now, a little bit better. What we'd really like to get is relationship with all factions. I think there is a way to get it. It might be one of the lords, it might be something else. I don't know what it is, though. Not this, is it? Global recruitment, army capacity, yeah, we'll get to that. This doesn't have relations with all factions, this does not. This does not, although the tradable resources produced is fairly significant. Certainly worth looking at. And construction time reduction for all buildings in a province. This guy's a great builder and recruiter, isn't he? In fact, we might get him on the field to recruit and build for us until we have war sphinxes for him. We should also awaken one of these guys. Where the heck did I see the bonus for relationship with all factions? Could it be on these guys? Not this, not this, not this, not this. Huh. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I made it up. If anybody noticed where I might have seen relations with all factions, please let me know, because that would be just swell. Also, anything interesting here? We do have the growth bonus out of this particular incantation. We need the Nehekaran Citadel, so we'll need the tier 4 first, which means it'll be a little bit of a while since we're building the Pyramidion at Cleric Spire first, and then we'll do the other thing later. We will also want to get rid of the Skull Repository, but only after the Screaming Skull... Oh, you built the Screaming Skull Catapult. But you're building a Chariot now, so I guess we'll wait until that's done. And then we'll build more stuff after. Hey, and we got the green skulls available as well. Oh, wait, do we? Huh? Why is it available? Oh, no, it says requires technology. Okay. I'm confusing myself now. All right. Well, let's end the turn. Let's see if anything interesting happens, though we are rapidly running out of time, and I am running out of the ability to speak. So I think once this turn ends, I'm going to call the episode. I do want to see what those ogres do, whether they attack us, though. And if they do attack us, perhaps we'll fight them. And Clarkarond, I think, just took a territory. I wonder if it was from Nagaroth or not. And Warg. I don't know who you are. Who are you? You want to declare war against them. Who are you and where are you? Don't call allies to help. Who the heck is Warg? Damn, the drown destroyed. I was... And, ow! This is Warg. He's got... Oh my lord, that's a lot of trolls. That is a lot of trolls in company. Man, this is actually specifically the types of units that our army would not be particularly good against. Kind of interesting. Could we hold back the tide with these guys? I do wonder. There's that a recruitment available, but anyway. I think we'll have to figure out whether we can hold back the tide of ludicrous numbers of trolls next time around, because I'm going to call it here. We'll probably start the battle off, or maybe even try and ambush these. Well, no, ambush probably wouldn't be helpful to us. Probably try to hold them off at the start of a next episode. Wait. Necrotech check. Nope, no better ones. And then move onward towards other Slaaneshi territories as we keep picking them up. We'll also... You go here. Who's holding Kurun? Oh, damn, Kurun is holding Kurun. That's not great. Because we'll have to attack them in order to take it, but they're holding a Book of Nagash in the same way that Mazda Mundi is doing, so we've little choice in the matter. Anyway, before I keep on just going, I'm gonna call it here. Next time we probably attack the Ogres, we attack the Warg, a random rogue army, continue on the Slaaneshi, and continue the retrofitting, getting a new army up and running, and starting to build huge piles of Scorpions and as many Ushabti as we can fit. Stay tuned for more Khatep. Don't forget to leave those likes and comments below. All glory to the algorithm. And thanks for watching.